Hello, my name is Maximus Lafredo. Thank you for joining me in this presentation on leadership styles. In this presentation, I'll be critically discussing transformational, autocratic, and democratic leadership through Jeff Bezos, the executive of Amazon, one of the leading e-commerce platforms, Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, chairman in 1997, and last but not least, Walt Disney, co-founder of Disney, whilst also being a talented animator, film producer, and voice actor. After evaluating each leadership style, I'll provide evidence that demonstrates that transformational leadership, in the long run, is the most successful leadership approach, using Bezos as an example. This will be in comparison to the other two in relation to business success and employee engagement and motivation. Taking a look at the different approaches these leaders take, I'll provide advantages and disadvantages to each option in terms of how the employees are affected, as well as the financial outcomes as a direct result of the leaders' decisions. So let's dive straight into transformational leadership. Why have I chosen Jeff Bezos as my transformative leader? Well, these leaders inspire and challenge their followers to exceed their own interests for the company. Bezos has great examples of these traits with his focus on innovation. His obsession creates a sense of respect and admiration from his employees, setting an example of how they should be behaving. Bezos also inspires and motivates his employees to achieve goals and embrace long-term visions with his famous Day One quote, which emphasizes on maintaining a startup mindset to drive constant innovation and customer obsession. He wants his workforce to treat the company as if it is new and seeking to grow its customer base, giving them a clear vision for the business. One way in which Bezos challenges his workforce to become innovative derives from his famous quote, "Failure and invention are inseparable twins." Employees will feel more comfortable taking risks and being innovative, knowing that their boss encourages it and understands that there will be failures. This attitude has led to new innovations and inventions, like his delivery drones, that will one day remove the labor needed to deliver. Not only do his employees have the autonomy to become creative, Bezos is very passionate about giving his employees a purpose, allowing them to play on their strengths. He treats his staff as if they are the owners and believes that in sharing the vision for the company, they will make the correct decisions to further develop the business. Okay, so now how has Bezos' transformational leadership style actually affected the business? Well, following on from the emphasis on autonomy and innovation, the employees of Amazon built Amazon Web Services that's estimated to achieve $110 billion in revenue in 2024. AWS is their leading revenue sector across all of their products and services. Would it even exist if he hadn't encouraged his employees to be innovative? Bezos' focus on idealized influence and inspirational motivation led to his team sharing a vision of becoming the most customer-centric company in the world, leading to the genius creation of Amazon Prime. They also dominate the market with a market share of 43% in e-commerce in the UK. And as you can see from the graph provided by Statista, their global net sales is increasing each year, proving the company's scalability in the long term. Let's look at their employee motivation and engagement. There is a correlation between the growth of employees and the success of the business. Therefore, a huge growth of employees over the last 10 years will only result from a respected leader. But let's go a bit deeper into the actual motivation from the workforce. One way in which employees can be paid is through stock options. Amazon's performance has a direct influence on its stock price. Therefore, those that choose the stock option will be motivated to achieve productivity to get a return over their income. This is a great example of how Bezos applies the equity theory, giving those workers perceived fairness in the ratio of their inputs. However, this leadership style can lead to employees feeling burnout due to the constant pursuit of high standards. A study conducted on Amazon employees led some to reveal that they felt like cogs in a machine. In the next part of this presentation, I'll be talking about autocratic leadership. Is this style more advantageous than transformative? Well, let's look at some examples through the works of the genius Steve Jobs. An autocratic leader is someone who consolidates authority and exercises power through their position. Jobs is a great example of this style because he was in charge of the decision-making at Apple. He was the one making key decisions. For example, before the launch of the iPhone, Jobs rejected multiple prototypes, highlighting his dictatorship and his expectancy of his employees to rise to his level. He was also known for getting deeply involved in product development, like when he insisted on design elements like the font and case aesthetics during the development of the Macintosh, pushing his idea of keeping the brand simple. Right, straight into Jobs' influence on Apple's success. The graph on the left clearly demonstrates the impact Jobs had being the chairman of the company, with huge growth occurring shortly after his return. By the fourth quarter of 2011 and the end of Jobs' career, Apple had a market share of 23% in the global smartphone industry, which is a direct result of the release of the iPhone 4S and the debut of Siri. Jobs' high involvement in the operations of Apple led him to be the main negotiator in the acquisition of Siri, with one of the co-founders referring to him as relentless. Would a group of subordinates have the same impact as Jobs did when negotiating for the technology, or was it simply Jobs' charisma and ambition that won the deal over? Not only the operations, but Jobs had a high involvement in the marketing side too. The greatly successful campaign Think Different played a pivotal role in Apple's resurgence, going on to win many awards, demonstrating that many of Apple's successes would not have been possible if it wasn't for Jobs and his autocratic style of leadership. Now, similarly to Amazon, a consistent rise in employees reflects a positive environment. Jobs' approach to leadership makes sure that his employees are provided with a clear understanding of the company goals, which will motivate those that are aligned with his vision, leading to innovation, resulting in groundbreaking products. However, this approach does divide employees into two categories: those who thrive under pressure and those who disengage from a fear of failure. The McGregor Theory X suggests treating employees as inherently unmotivated can alienate those who value trust and independence. They will feel unmotivated, and this will limit the full potential of his workforce. Okay, thank you for your attention so far. For the next part of this presentation, I'll be discussing democratic leadership and Walt Disney. Now, in contrast to autocrats, Democrats focus more on delegation. Disney is a great example of this. Shown through many behaviors and decisions, he regularly sought feedback from his employees, giving them a voice and a sense of ownership in projects, empowering his teams to collaborate and innovate. This style of leadership allows the employees to have creative freedom. He allowed his animators and creatives to experiment with ideas so they could explore new animation techniques. This led to the groundbreaking film Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first full-length animated film. These sort of responsibilities wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for a large amount of trust between Disney and his subordinates, as he did often delegate key tasks and roles to his staff. Disney's impact as a leader and the innovations that occurred whilst he was involved have proven long-term success. I've included a small timeline on the left of the screen displaying a couple of Disney's successes, one of those being the creation of Mickey Mouse. In 1928, Disney's talented workforce produced Steamboat Mickey that disrupted the animation industry. Disney's delegation of creation and design led to quite possibly the most impactful innovation of the century. The character Mickey Mouse now being estimated to be worth over $7 billion by experts, making him one of the most valuable fictional characters in the world. Continuing Disney's delegation successes, in 1955, the first theme park was opened up in California. The same park generates an average of over 15 million guests a year, as the graph below shows. We can analyze the effect Disney's leadership style had on his employees' motivation and engagement by deconstructing the ERG theory. Disney has great examples as to how each of his employees will remain engaged and motivated, starting with their existing needs. He offered his employees job security and competitive salaries, which extends over to the safety of his employees at his amusement parks and design studios. In terms of his employees' relatedness needs, as explained earlier, he allowed his employees to work closely together. This gives them a sense of belonging, knowing that their ideas are being considered and contributed, just like in the success story of Snow White, that generated over $184 million in gross revenue. And finally, Disney's passion for personal development offered his employees ample opportunities to expand their personal growth, like encouraging them to draw from personal experiences to enhance creativity. However, delegation comes at a cost. Decision-making will have to go through multiple people and potentially multiple meetings. This really increases the time that decisions get made and can lead to employees feeling disengaged with the lack of productivity. Okay, so now that I've provided evidence to why I've chosen these leaders to represent these styles, the next part of this presentation, I'm going to critically argue as to why I believe transformational leadership is the most successful in the long term in business success and employee motivation and engagement. I provided evidence that each of these leaders skyrocketed company revenue as a result of their leadership. Bezos' focus on innovation resulted in Amazon Web Services that's expected to generate $110 billion in 2024. Jobs' high involvement within the operations and communications of Apple resulted in the acquisition of Siri that helped contribute to attain a market share of 23% in 2011. And finally, Disney's delegation and his employees having the creative freedom to produce complete disruptions like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that went on to generate millions in gross revenue. However, there is a fault to Disney's democratic leadership style. Due to a lot of delegation of tasks to subordinates, there will have been multiple people deciding on variables which will have delayed the progression. In complete contrast, Jobs' autocratic leadership style and his firm input and decisions led to the control of design elements during the development of the Macintosh. Jobs being the one making these decisions will accelerate this process, allowing him and his team to spend more time in other areas of the business. However, without Jobs, who makes decisions? Despite both of these styles on decision making, while I feel transformation is the best long term, is because they share a clear vision of the business. Employees in positions of power will make decisions based on the company values and will take initiative, acting as if they are the owners of the business. Not only are transformational leaders like Bezos able to step away from the decision making, but their subordinates who share the same vision will make the decisions due to a barrier of trust between both parties. Taking a look at employee motivation within these leadership styles, Disney's democratic style and inclusivity gives his employees empowerment and a sense of ownership over projects. This is highly motivational as they actually have an impact on projects and can incorporate their own ideas, as I mentioned before, with the Snow White and the people behind it. The sense of responsibility for the success of the company will drive them to achieve their best results. On the contrary, at Apple, some employees' motivation was suppressed over the fear of failure and disapproval by Jobs. His autocratic style of leadership will only motivate those that are aligned with his vision and those that produce the results at his standard. This fear and failure leads to a higher staff turnover, thus preventing employee growth as staff will need to be replaced, in turn affecting the long-term growth of the company. Bezos does not have this problem. As I just mentioned, his employees act like owners, motivating them as they make key decisions to progress the business success. On top of this, staff who chose to be paid through the stock option will be motivated to drive the value of the company up so that their shares become more valuable. Overall, out of those discussed, transformational leadership is the most beneficial style for long-term success of a business and increased motivation and engagement by the employees. I have reached this conclusion from an example of Bezos' work with Amazon. Employees are aligned with the overall vision of the company, reducing conflict in decision-making, whilst also avoiding the risk of only one person deciding. Employees will all understand the company values, which will keep them motivated as they know the direction of the business regardless of the CEO. With a sense of belonging in the business and the opportunity to actually make an impact, company morale will be positive, with innovation and creativity being at the forefront of the company. These are my recommended readings from this presentation. The Everything Store book on Jeff Bezos that delves deep into the behind the scenes of his personality and the way that he leads. There are a lot of lessons in business strategy and just a lot to learn from one of the richest guys in the world and how he behaves. Likewise, the innovation secrets of Steve Jobs gives a behind the scenes of Apple, and with actual actionable insights for entrepreneurs. If you're looking for inspiration for personal growth or business strategies, then this book is for you. They are both great reads and that will make you think and open a different perspective to business. Thank you for sticking with me throughout this presentation. Hope you have found it educational and engaging enough. Seeing as you have made it this far, make sure you leave a comment below on whether or not you disagree or agree with my decision, and leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. I've been Max, and enjoy the rest of your day.